Well, our contract, we had to add a clause in the contract about 23andMe, ancestry.com to tell people in more explicit terms that there is no guarantee of anonymity. We had already started to do that though because of the advent of Google and the image search. And if the parents had, the donor's first name and where she went to school. I had one donor that, I found her in 2 seconds just by the information that was provided on her profile. But with 23andMe and all that, we've just told them there's just none. You have to really have that understanding that there is no anonymity today. They haven't come back to me yet, but I have had donors who really and truly, they're happy to donate, but they want to be completely anonymous. And I have a feeling that they're going to be contacting me and saying, hey, what happened? Of course, we say in our contract throughout, there are no guarantees that it's going to work, no guarantees about, your privacy, your confidentiality. But, it's a game changer. What was 15 years ago, 20, 25 years ago, we could not have predicted this at all.
And so you mostly represent, though, families who are looking to have children, right?
Correct. So if they ask us, we definitely go over that section and we tell them. Some parents, I think, are hopeful that it's not going to happen. I really do think, because you have to understand, when we're talking to a donor, they get it. They've got Snapchat and TikTok and Instagram. I don't even think, anybody in this day and age, if you're 13 on, you don't have any expectation of privacy. I think the parents are just hopeful and that it's not ever going to happen. So I think they just really just want to pretend they get it. They're like, yes, we understand. But really and truly, I don't think they do.
And so what rights do they have?
Well, you have to understand the child is not a party to the contract. Number one, the child doesn't exist yet, so you can't be a party to a contract. So if the child does their DNA and they confront their parents or they go searching for their egg donor or their sperm donor, the parent doesn't have a recourse because the contract is between the parent and the sperm donor or the parent and the egg donor or embryo donor for that matter. So they really don't have any recourse, to tell that child to stop. Now there is usually a clause in the contract that says if the donor has contact with the child, then the donor has to reach out and let them know. So that's the recourse they have. The child's their own person. I don't think so, because the desire to have a child is what's driving them right now. And my clients are not having a teenager, they're not having an adult, they're not even having a toddler, they're having a baby. So that's their goal. And whether the journey has been 2 years or 5 years, or I had a client that took them 20 years to have one child, they're not thinking long term, so they're not going to stop. They're not going to stop. I think they're just going to, put their head in the sand a little bit and think, I'll deal with this later, or it may not even happen. Because there are some people, if you borrow from the adoption community, that have absolutely no desire to find out their genetic link. They're like, well, these are my parents, and they're the ones who raised me, and this is the family that I know, so I don't really care. Yeah, I have to say that the parent, I think for the parents, it's anxiety. I think, and it's the unknown for them about having a child and having a child with a third party. When the issue is raised, I always tell them, listen, tell your child as soon as your child asks. Like for surrogacy, I just said, oh, mommy's tummy was broken, so this person carried you in her tummy. And my daughter was 2, and she goes, oh, okay. So tell them, oh, when you grew in my tummy, yes, but there's somebody else, a little angel, who helped too. And then they're like, oh, well, somebody helped. And then they get older, and then you tell them. Because when you have that conversation for the donor-conceived person later on, then she feels betrayed, or she can. or he can. So I always say it's best, but every family's different, and I can give the advice, 15 years of advice, but they have to take it.
Times are changing.
Yes, because not only is there 23andMe and there's ancestry.com, there's like GEDmatch, which the police have used and the adopted community had used for years to help connect the children of adoption with their biological parents. And I was listening to a podcast and they said, well, it doesn't matter if you don't place your DNA on 23andMe or ancestry.com. The game's over. Your DNA is already there because you can be traced just by those people that place their DNA on GEDmatch and all those other, voluntary sites.
And there's that sibling registry site that you told me about too.
Yes, the donor sibling registry. That was created by a woman whose son was born via sperm donation. Before you got any information and sperm donation, they would just give you, I have a friend too, a one-page sheet, height, hair color, eye color, he's going to med school, and this is his background. That's all you got. You really essentially didn't get too much. And as the child got older, he wanted help finding, his biological link. I'm sure now with all the 23andMe, he's probably found him. So that's how that started. I don't know if so many people are going to the ancestry. I'm not the ancestry, the donor sibling registry, because we're talking about, now with, 23andMe, donor sibling registry is used for people who want to stay in contact, but really and truly, if you want to get in touch with your donor, you just put your DNA somewhere and there you go.
Last thing, these donors, even though you know who they are, they don't have to meet with you. There's no legal thing that says,
no.
Yes, you're my child biologically.
No.
Oh, sorry. Thank you.
No. Most of my donors were like, fine, because we'd always have that discussion. Listen, I can't promise you that somebody's not going to come knocking on your door 16 years from now, 18 years from now, or whatever, and say, hey, I think you helped, contribute to my DNA. You were, the egg donor, sperm donor my parents used. And they got it, but for those donors I worked with who really wanted to stay anonymous, they're probably not going to get in contact. They're just not. Unless they've changed. Because what you want to do at 22, 23, 24, and what you say you're going to do, people evolve. But you're right, there is nothing that says that you have to meet. Even when I place it in my contract, because there are a lot of parents who really, they say, my child may want to do this, we're going to tell him or her. And I counsel the donors. I said, listen, we don't know how you're going to feel. Today you say yes, but you may not be in a position. So, and then I have to tell the parents, listen, she says yes now, but we can't force her. So, and we're all figuring it out as we go. I think, we'll have this conversation 10 years from now and it might be completely different, with the technology, who knows? But for right now, we are just telling all our clients, this is how it is today, but you just have to be prepared for the future, whatever that brings.
Boom, there you go.
This is one area where women make significantly more than men. Yes. Because women have to take medication, injectable medication, they have to undergo a medical procedure. The average payout for an egg donor is $8,000. That's average, that's starting. It depends. There's some people that match you with Ivy League. Donors can make $30,000, $45,000, $50,000 and above. And I think the average payout for sperm is $75.